Hi everyone, today is May 23rd, 2020, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is Green Ranger. This week we have a bunch of new cards from different places. Um, the new structure deck, Hero Generation, that's probably the biggest excitement in terms of the new cards. 4 new cards from there, from that release, and Doug Dimmaduel will bring his deck of the week based off a new card from that box, 2 new cards from that box, and it's there's a few interesting cards there that it doesn't really lead to one type of deck build. So Doug explores a different deck build using those cards and shows how versatile that box is. We also have new cards from Raid Duels, Dimensional Disaster. Rewards aren't anything much, but we'll describe the event. And Yugi is coming as a acquirable legendary duelist, but not yet. So we can't even talk about what rewards he brings yet until next episode. Evolved Hassleberry came in the beginning of the week, kind of in conjunction with the previous event. So we'll talk about his new cards as well. Some esports as well as the KC Grand Tournament Celebration event. It's official. The KC Grand Tournament will happen. In terms of my weekend Duel Links, I put in some games, but they were all kind of meaningless because I'm already king of games and I don't really play tournaments. So, the decks I played this week, probably the most common one was Aliens. I don't know if anyone remembers the failure of Aliens to make an impact at any level, but I was putting in stuff like Void Trap Hole and Forbidden Lance to help the Alien Ammonite actually get a synchro playoff, and ultimately it's the failure of Cosmic Fortress Golgar, and that card just gets countered before it could do anything. So the downfall of the deck. Eventually I'm gonna have to play real decks, and I did help that cause by getting a second Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Spent a little bit of money on the selection box, and I got one the first time, and I got my second one. I was trying to get some of the other ones as well, maybe a Element Saber Malehu or something, but it seems I might have to get into Dark Dimension one more time if I do want to fill my playset of Alistair cards. So, I do have a Lightsworn deck. That deck really just keeps building and building. There's no way to finalize Lightsworns with the number of lights and darks coming into the game. So, trying to figure out what deck I'm going to play. Of course, I got King of Games with Synchro Toolbox, so I like to have a few different options of what to play when that tournament actually begins. Talk esports. 3 events we're going to talk about this week. Duel Links Meta Weekly number 125. Now the ban list is officially, all the nerfs to cards and skills are active, and we have a full new meta right now. Meta Weekly 125. First place, Young Whale Shadow Game Yosenju's. This is the only Yosenju deck to make it. That entered the tournament, and it took first place. And it's off meta, so people don't really prepare for this. It's hard to cover every single base in Yu-Gi-Oh! You try to prepare for what the meta is, and then they throw in Yosenju's. This is a typical deck for Yosenju's. It's 1 Lava Golem, 2,1, 3,2, 2,3, 2 Kiteroids, 1 Yosenju Izna, 1 Sujik, 2 Oyam, 2 Drowning Mirror Force, 2 Sword Stings, and 2 Defense Draws. Their monsters are spirits, basically, so they return to the hand. But they stall a lot. There's a lot of stall components here with the Kiteroids, Drowning, Defense Draw. And then they do kind of OTK, there's Shadow Game, there's Lava Golem, so there's some burn component too. And Yosenju's Sword Sting, of course, is one of the main cards of the deck where they bounce cards to back to the hand, so waste resources. Second place, Nalil, Level Og, Shiranui. This deck's pretty typical for a Shiranui deck. Artifact, Lancia, Gozuki are pretty standard in the deck. Artifact Lancia primarily being that anti-banish card, Gozuki being a filler in the graveyard. Yeah, your good trap cards, Ballista Squad, Fiendish Chain, Floodgates, Needle Sealing, Forbidden Lance. Yeah, it's all pretty standard here. Top 4, -1 with Mythic Depths, Sea Stealth, Attack, Cristrons. So we've seen different Crystron builds. Cristrons are pretty much tier 1 at this point. And this Sea Stealth build is a bit slower than the other build. They're all not super fast decks. They're all kind of control decks. And Sea Stealth definitely being Citadel well, it doesn't really inflict damage to your cards. It doesn't really attack through monsters. It uses the effect destruction on them. So Citadel Whale is a really slow card generally, but it protects your board and it protects the spells and traps on the board and stuff like that. So that's what it's for. This is a super clean list for the Sea Stealth build. No heavy starter cards. 2 Ryons, that's pretty much standard. This card's just good enough to stay on the semi-limit. You don't need any econs or anything like that. 3 Cosmic Cyclones from Limited 3. And top 4, Electric Soldier Porygon. I like that name. Another Mythic Depths Cristrons. The only change here from the previous deck is... There's a few changes, actually. There's 1 fewer Gen X controller. What they put in the place of Gen X controller? There's a Ballista Squad in place of Crystron Impact as well. So only 2 Crystron Impacts, 1 Ballista Squad. I'm not seeing it. Yeah. Well, in any case, yeah, I don't see it. That's the Duel meta. Battle Phase 59, Partner Celebration. Partner Celebration, they mean they are officially partners with Twitch, so congrats on making that accomplishment there. I don't really know what it means to be partners with Twitch, but people celebrate it every so often online. So congrats to Battle Phase. First place, Yami Hero, Tie That Binds, Dark Magician. There's 2 cards here that cost some life points, Dark Magic Curtain and Herald of the Abyss. But Tie That Binds is not a skill that uses life points at all. So very interesting that they do that. Herald of the Abyss is just a good card. Dark Magic Curtain is just a good card. You don't really need to spend a lot of life points if you have low life points. World Legacy Clash is the semi-limit card of choice for this deck. Second place, Refresh Level Og Shiranui. Unending Nightmare here. Shows how good some field spells are. Fiendish Chains with the selection box coming back. Some people are just going to run 3 Fiendish Chains. That's just what it is. And Unending Nightmare helps you counter any of those continuous cards or field spells that are going to be teched into decks now. Third, top 4, Douglas Level Augmentation Shiranui. Again, typical deck. A previous deck we saw doesn't run Spirit Master. This refresh one doesn't run Spirit Master. The one from Duel's Meta Weekly didn't run Spirit Master. This one does. Nice comeback for that card. And top four, Bruno S. Destiny, Draw, Element Saber, Invoked. This runs Sphere Kuriboh. This is a card you typically don't see. They typically run just like a lot of trap cards. Here's Sphere Kuriboh for the deck. Nobleman Extermination in the side deck. Interesting. This might mean there's a lot of Fiendish Chains, Floodgates, whatever. Clean decks with a lot of the same trap cards. And the last tournament we'll talk about is GCB Weekly number 1, a Brazilian thing. First tournament. First place, Anjos. Level Augmentation Shiranui. Interesting deck. Unending Nightmare. Again, field spells, Fiendish Chains, continuous cards. This counters them all. Way to lose life points too, but the deck doesn't really need that. Given No Mortal Can Resist got nerfed, you don't really need that anymore. The bigger change here is Gozuki's out of the deck. You've got Samurai Skull. And Samurai Skulls, this is something that happened with vampires back in the day when Samurai Skull overtook Gozuki. And that's because the ability goes off right away. Gozuki, you have to play it, and then they could counter it, and then you use the ability. So I think Floodgate's the main card that it counters. You get your dump off into the graveyard immediately, and even another thing that you don't that Samurai Skull excels at is against effect destruction. And one big player now is that Citadel Whale. So Citadel Whale effect destroys Samurai Skull. You're gonna cheat out a monster from the deck. Kozuki doesn't do that unless there's a monster in the graveyard. So that's the reason why you would switch to Samurai Skull. It's cheaper too. That helps too. Second place, Gene Switcheroo Dragoonides. Dragoonides are seeing a rise. They're not really tiered in tournaments because they don't show up a ton, but you do see them a lot in ranked duels. In my King of Games climb, I did see a lot of Dragoonides, and they're very one-turn kill. You definitely need your 3 cows. That's the card that makes the whole thing work. Without cows, I don't see this deck winning any games at all. 3 cows, 2 ducks, 3 Senatus, 2 Darkspear, 2 Kiteroids, 2 Cards of Consonance, 3 Cosmics, 3 Divine Lances. And then the side deck's the extra deck's pretty consistent. 3 Ascalons. This is the Synchro Monster that makes it all work. The Beater banishes, does a lot. 2 Barca. This one is like a combo card sort of. It detaches. A Kaus comes back and then it makes Ascalon. And then 1 Gay Bulge. They use Switcheroo as the skill. This is a type of deck list you want to copy, but it's a bit expensive getting all these pieces, especially the cows. Ascalon, you're gonna have to buy 3 structured decks for that. Cows is a UR, a main box UR. Top 4, Dam with Destiny Draw invoked. It's mostly Element Saber, but not all. So Malo got hit, and they needed a fire monster, so they put in Fortune Fairy N. And, with a Fortune Fairy and an Element Saber deck, it doesn't make sense because you can't tutor it with the field spell, right? The field spell only tutors Element Saber cards. But this runs Destiny Draw, it runs Unending Nightmare. So when you lose those 2,000 life points, you could tutor Fortune Fairy N with Destiny Draw. This gets special summoned from the hand, and you hit an opponent's set card. So it's a bit of this is pretty much the best fire monster you can use. That's how far this card is, Fortune Fairy N, in being the fire monster of choice out of every single fire monster in the game. So make sure you get this card from Carly. And top 4, Steelback level augmentation Shiranui. Nothing fully teched out deck here. 3 Artifact Lanceas, 2 Forbidden Lance. Very you see the same deck over and over again. The only change was the guy who was using Samurai Skull, I guess, the first place guy. So post-ban tier list update. First, top tier Crystron's Masked Heroes have been moved up. They fully expect the new cards for Masked Heroes to get there. I think they could just surprise you in many different ways as well. So they could just definitely make it. There always been a one-turn kill deck. A new card even makes it even stronger. Especially with the play with the field spells now. That's crazy. Tier 2, Blackwings, Dark Magician, Element Saber, and Shiranui. And Tier 3, Blue Eyes, Cyber Dragon, and Ritual Beast. Not too many dramatic changes there. Or the KC Grand Tournament Celebration event. This is just a prize event, giving us some free stuff. And the main get of this event is, of course, a UR and SR Dream Ticket. These are some of the rarest items in the game. They give it to us like once or twice a year, so I'm still holding on to my 3rd anniversary SR ticket, actually, so I have to figure out how to use that card. And, I made like a few general guidelines that may or may not be obvious to some folks about how to use your tickets. The first is you have to clear or lessen your inbox. There's a lot of useless R and N um, tickets, and even some UR tickets. Like I have 3 of everything, so I'm just getting 4 copies of things. But you make sure you clear your inbox because I think if you have over 99, you can't get them. So make sure you continuously reduce the amount of tickets you get, even if it means getting 5th or 6th copies of things. Second is use them to save as many gems as possible. This is something I'll expound on a bit more, but the whole point of it is so you don't have to buy through a box to get the one card you need, or you're trying to finish a collection of something, or you're not trying to spend money on a structured deck. So there's a few different ways you can go about how to save gems. An example here. I personally have 2 Alistairs, 2 Invocations, 2 Element Saber, Malehu. Ideally, the Invoked Element Saber decks run 3 of Alistair and Malehu. I'm about to reset the box. It might make sense for me to use my UR ticket on one of those cards, but there's this selection box that has Malehu. It might be a good idea for me to get Alistair with this and use the selection box to get Malehu. But it's also possible that I could just buy through that set and get both of them, or work towards the first one and then use my ticket on the second one, if that makes any sense. So there's 180 packs in the whole box. I'll have to reset the box to get those 2 cards. Now, there could be another card in another set where I'm getting pretty close, so I could get that one. So there's a lot you have to weigh, and I personally won't get like a mini box UR for the Dream Ticket because those are easier to get with certain sales. They guarantee you a UR, so it's like a 33% chance of getting UR you want from a mini box. So I definitely wouldn't use it on a mini box UR for the Dream Ticket. SR is a little different. SRs, I wouldn't use it like on a main box SR. I would use it on a mini box SR, if that makes any sense. So, play your odds to save as much money as possible. Also, if you need like a 3rd copy from the structure deck and you want to spend $7, this could be another way to do it. And the last guideline, of course, is to get good cards. If you're a whale in the game and you have every single card, this is not a concern to you. Or if you don't care about winning, you're just trying to get the cards you want, who cares, right? But if you're low budget and you're trying to be competitive and you definitely can't play every single deck like I do, definitely use this to your advantage to get the best card possible. It doesn't have to be the best card possible. Like, it could just be a card that works for many decks, like Neos Fusion. I don't have any of those. I could try to use it to get my second one instead of buying 2 structure decks. Different things like generally useful cards could be useful as well. Cards that work for many decks, or you could work towards one right now. There's some general guidelines about how to wisely use your Dream Tickets. You could also hold on to them and not use them, like I have with my third anniversary SR ticket. New structure deck, Hero Generation. So there's 4 new cards from this box. And this is not a structure deck EX too, so you can get the first one for 500 gems. Everyone can get these cards, at least a copy of each. And just looking at the general card list, I don't know why they give you World Legacy Clash. It's semi-limited, but whatever. Mask Change is nice. This is from Valiant Souls, so you don't have to buy Valiant Souls again. You can just buy this box. Those of us who have played this game a bit, we have like enough of these cards. No Blaze Man in this box, though. Okay. Oh yeah. Neos Alias also in this box, so you don't have to buy Blades of Spirits. That's nice. Talk about the new ones. Masked Hero Koga. Level 8, Light Warrior Fusion, 2500, 1800. Must be special summoned with Mass Change. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 500 attack for each monster your opponent controls. Once per turn, during either player's turn, banish a hero from your graveyard. Target one face of monster on the field. That target loses attack equal to the attack of the monster banished to activate this effect until the end of the turn. This probably will be the biggest beater of all the masked heroes. Anki's 2800. This is going to be 25 to 4000, usually at 3000 or something. The ability is a lot like Vision Hero Adoration, except the debuff costs a monster in the graveyard. This has some anti-synergy with some Vision Heroes like Increase that come out of the graveyard, as well as Celestial, who helps you in the card advantage game. Still, this debuff is pretty big, though. You're going to reduce them by over 1,000, like 1,600 or something. Even a fallen extra deck monster would reduce them by a lot. So, huge debuff. Makes your other extra deck monsters like Trinity and Anki better. Great addition to the deck. And it's mass change too, so you could just easily pop it off when switching off those monsters. Here's the main get of the box. This is the most exciting one that everyone's hyped for. Favorite hero, and it's an equip spell. It's weird that people are hyped up for an equip spell, and it must be good to be hyped up over an equip spell. Equip only to a level 5 or higher hero monster. If you control a card in your field zone, the equipped monster gains attack equal to its defense, original defense. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. At the start of the battle phase, you can activate a field spell directly from your hand or deck. You can use this effect once per turn. When the equipped monster attacks and destroys an opponent monster by battle, you can send this to the graveyard. The attacking monster can make a second attack in a row. So, like I said, equip spells are generally not worth playing. This one's just good enough to do it. Lets your monsters hit over 3,000 typically. Yeah, they're going to be like over 2,000. You add in more than 1,000, it could be over 3,000, sometimes close to 4,000. And even better, untargetable by card effects. Can't say enough how good this ability is. Yeah, it's just a really good ability. It's probably one of the best abilities in the game, not being able to get hit by targets. You equip this in your main phase, and then in your battle phase, you play a field spell straight from the hand or deck. And this is a very novel way to interact with equip spells and field spells. But with the meta the way it is right now, a lot of decks are just throwing in Necro Valley into their decks. Mixing up heroes just because Shizu's gone. You basically are Shizu again with this card. Very good card in that regard. It could also run other field spells like the various hero things like Skyscraper, or there's like a fusion recycling plant. Different cards that help heroes and what they do, other than Necro Valley. So you could just change out what field you're playing. This also has like an OTK ability. You could discard this card after it destroys a monster by battle. It can hit again. So your monster loses that buff, but they get to hit again over 2,000. Yeah, this does a lot, and it does all that stuff with the field spells, which makes it super relevant. Mainly that interaction with Necro Valley is what I like. Also the untargetable, that's huge. So equip spell that just does so many different things. It's the main get of this box. Super versatile card. I don't really see you playing a hero deck without it. Unless you're playing no field spells at all, you're going straight aggro, mask change, hey true nade, but this is a very good card. Next card is a throwaway card. The only real throwaway card of the 4 new cards, Generation Next. Quick play spell. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, add to your hand or special summon one elemental hero monster, Karibo monster, or Neospatian monster from your deck or graveyard. with attack less than or equal to the difference in life points. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate cards or cards of effects with the same name as that card. You can only activate one generation next per turn. So, situational requirement to cheat out a decent elemental hero, you're going to have to be behind in life points quite a bit. Like, you're going to have to be behind 2,500 to play Neos. There's one use I could see of this deck it being used for stall decks, where you could cheat out a Winged Karibo or another Karibo monster to the hand. But then you'll have to be behind in life points as well. And the whole goal of those decks is to burn you down, so very situational for that as well. Last card, trap card, Hero Blast. Target one elemental hero normal monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Then if your opponent controls any monsters with attack less than or equal to that target's attack, destroy one of them. Works great with Neos. This is the main interaction with Neos. You could use Neos as a cost for Neos Fusion. Activate this to recycle it. Pop a monster with 2,500 or less attack. You could use that on Dark Magician because they have the same attack, but you can't get it over anything else. Still, it's a very nice synergy with Neos and Neos Fusion. Those are cards from Hero Generation. Overall, a pretty solid thing. With the sale going on right now, you could get it with 500 gems. The next one's $1.99 in American dollars, and then the next one's like $4.99 or $3.99. So you get the whole thing for $6 or $7 and 500 gems. But I think the thing that held me back was I have 0 copies of Neos Fusion, so I would have to invest my SR tickets into that. I could, technically. I have those 2 SR Dream tickets, so maybe. But then you have to get Brave Neos too, so it's a bit of a cost. Alright, Doug Dimmaduel is here early today because it makes sense to talk about hero decks. He has a new hero deck, Hero Neos deck. This is different from one that you would normally see in the meta. I don't think Vision Hero Pharos is in this deck, so this is a more fusion-based deck with some of the lesser seen Elemental Hero Fusion plays, but it is a really big-time boom or bust deck. Not boom or bust deck, but these monsters can get a lot of attack with Elemental Hero Grand Merge, for example. That's a card that he uses. So here's Doug's casual deck of the week using favorite hero.
Hey there, this is Doug Dimmaduel with Doug's Casual Deck of the Week. Alright, so this week, of course, you guys saw the new structure deck, the Hero Generation, or whatever the heck it was called. What's the thing called again? Oh yeah, Hero Generation. Cool. Got it right the first time. So, with this Hero Generation structure deck out, I was really trying to find ways to make mask change work, because I really like the new boss monster that they had in the deck. But that's not the deck that I'm building this go-around. I'm trying to take advantage of Favorite Hero, the Equip Spell card that I'm sure a lot of people are pretty hyped about. This is making things so easy to use because we already have a Jaden skill, or just about any other skill, such as Neospace. So Neospace, without really the need of Neos Fusion, but still splash it in there anyway, this is the kind of deck that you want to run 3 copies of Elemental Hero Brave Neos, because all it requires is 1 Elemental Hero Neos and 1 level 4 or lower effect monster. But you're talking about a 3k monster or possibly a 3100 attack monster right there on the field because of Neospace. The other monster I run in the extra deck is Elemental Hero Grand Merge, because in this deck I'm also going to be running some Sparkman type shenanigans too. Really like that. And then Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. I just run 1 copy of this. I believe it is a level 8 warrior. Requires Elemental Hero Flame Wingman and Elemental Hero Sparksman. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card also gains 300 attack for each elemental hero card in your graveyard. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster in the graveyard. And then also for good measure, 1 Vision Hero Trinity, just because it requires 3 hero monsters and has a 5,000 attack. Really good. It really helps you out in a pinch. But so really the way that the deck is run is just very fusion heavy. You want to run your 3 copies of Elemental Hero Blazeman from the first the first deck that came out for the hero archetype. Really, the whole reason why you're going to use this is to normal summon and search out a Polymerization and add it from your deck to your hand. This deck, I run 2 copies of Polymerization just because I want to see, if I could open up with 1 copy, that'd be great, but I feel like 3 is too much for this deck build because I have so many monsters that have the search ability for Polymerization, because I also run my 3 copies of King of the Swamp. One of the effects is you could send this card from your hand to the graveyard to search out a Polymerization to add to your hand, or you could use it as a fusion substitute for 1 material. So I like to use that with Elemental Hero Sparksman to get out my Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. So that's really, it's a double positive. I feel like King of the Swamp, I always tend to add a copy of this card to my deck, at least a 3 of, if I'm running a fusion hero deck. The thing's just great, and it could also substitute as an Elemental Hero Neos as well if you want to get into a Brave Neos fusion, as long as you have Polymerization. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm okay with that. I do run my 3 copies of Elemental Hero Neos because I'm going to be running into so many Brave Neos fusion plays. I'd rather have a full set in the deck, and then my 3 copies of Elemental Hero Sparkman. That's basically it for the monsters. You got your King of the Swamp, you got your Elemental Hero Blazeman, you got your Elemental Hero Neos, and your Elemental Hero Sparkman. All 3 ofs. So I know it's pretty expensive when you start getting into 3 copies of King of the Swamp, but if you have it, make it work. And then finally, 3 copies of Favorite Hero, the Equip spell, where you could equip only to a level 5 or higher hero monster. If you control a card in your field zone, the equipped monster gains attack equal to its original defense. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. At the start of the battle phase, you could activate 1 field spell directly from your hand or deck, blah, blah, blah. You could also, when the equipped monster attacks and destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can send this card to the graveyard, and the attacking monster can make a second attack in a row. So you could really close out some games pretty easily with this, but I do, because of the effect and the reliance on a field spell card, I'm running the Neospace skill in this scenario. I do have 1 extra copy of Neospace in my deck in case first turn my opponent pops or banishes my field spell. I could always use the effect of Favorite Hero to take my Neospace out of my deck or hand during the battle phase and throw it into the field zone. That's why it's just good to run 1 extra copy of that field spell for good measure. Of course, Neos Fusion, run your 2 copies of that, and I think I already told you, my 2 copies of Polymerization. That's the way the deck's built. It's just get into a fusion play as quickly as possible. If you could draw into Favorite Hero, the Equip spell card, just equip it. It's great. I mean, this is a very easy to use deck, a very simple to use deck, but very effective. I mean, you could get into 5,000, 7,000 attack very easily with a lot of these fusion monsters and using the Equip spell card. It's just a very, very nice addition to hero decks, as if they needed any more help. I'm sure this deck would be a lot better if I had Stratos, but alas, I do not. So, that's all I got for you right now. But anyway, that's it for my casual deck of the week. I will see you next time. Take care.
All right, thanks, Doug. You can check out Doug's Casual Deck of the Week every week on this podcast, his own Twitter account at Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Talk. Get to the event, Raid Duels Dimensional Disaster. The 2 cards they give you are a disaster, but we do get Yugi, which is huge, but we can't. There's some leaks going around about what cards he has, and they're whatever, but we're not going to talk about it until it's official. Of course, Yugi's going to come chock full of duel skills, so I'm excited to see what that is. Of course, this is grown-up Yugi. Not grown-up Yugi, but like a year or two after the main series anime. So he's a high school senior, a little taller. Yeah, but we won't get him until after, I think, the 25th. So in a couple days, maybe by the time you listen to this podcast, he's already here. I like this event, even though the rewards suck. I like it. They spawn pretty fast. Agami spawns pretty fast. It's pretty free to play. You don't spend all your currency. There's a lot of those assist duels. That definitely helps. A lot of rewards. A lot of points to get. A lot of good things with this event. They have this thing where they count the highest attack. And there's a guy who hit it with like infinite billions of attack. That was pretty cool. Dimension duels aren't really anything to brag home about. They just help you complete the event faster. So you just spam blue eyes and multiply by 5, and then you multiply by 3. It's pretty cool. Otherwise, it's not really worth being a whole new event, in my opinion. It's nothing too different from a regular duel or a 5D's duel. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the event. Let's talk about these crappy cards. Buster Gundle, the Cubic Behemoth. Level 4 Light Beast, 0 attack and defense. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by sending 3 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard. Cannot be special summoned other ways. If summoned this way, this card gains 3,000 attack. This card can make a second and third attack during each battle phase. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, battle, or card effect, target 3 cubics in your graveyard, special summon them. Then add a cubic from your deck or graveyard to your hand. I made a big deal about this online last night. This card is currently unplayable. And what I mean by that is you're going to need a lot more cubic monsters in the game to make this work. We only have 3 cubic monsters so far. The Vessel, Duwaza, the Cubic Vessel, or whatever it's called. You're going to need all 3 of those from your deck, of a 20-card deck, on the board at the same time, and you're going to need Buster Gundle in your hand at the same time. So right now, as it stands, literally unplayable. When this card finally does see play, it's basically a god card right now, and you can't even tutor it. So it's like with the Earthbound Immortals, at least you could use a skill to get it or something. This one you just can't even get it. 3,000 0. It's OTK, hits second and third time, so it hits 3 times, kind of like Cyber Dragon guy, but worse, because he can't clear stuff. It has no, protection against anything. So, like, back row hits it easy. It does have a resurrection ability. When it's sent to the graveyard, you get those 3 1600 guys back from the graveyard, you special summon them, and then you tutor a card. That's nice, I guess. We're just going to need more cubic cards to see this work. This card can get banished as well, so then it does nothing after that. So, yeah, we need more cubic cards. Right now, literally unplayable god card. Next card, the SR, is called Talakalo, his Malevolent Majesty. I think this card's cool, but it sucks. Like, it looks cool, it has a cool name, but it sucks. But that's okay, because a lot of cards just suck, and they don't look cool, but this one looks cool, at least. So it's level 5 Dark Fiend, 2400, 1000. If this is tribute summoned, you can destroy any number of face-up monsters your opponent controls whose combined attack is less than or equal to the original attack of this monster tributed for this tribute summon. So, the goal of this is to tribute summon a monster with high attack, and then you could just blow up a board of weak monsters. You're doing a 1 tribute for 2400, which is not good in this point in the game. Right now we're all into synchro summons, multiple synchro summons a turn, special summons, so very slow ability. And then right now, they're going to lead off with a synchro monster. Or Element Saber Malehu, that's a choice. Magician's Rod, those are cards that can get hit by this card. But your monsters have to be more than 1900 attack to hit Malehu. This might be good against tokens. Like, the tokens all have 0, so you blow them up. Let's say they're playing Nordics. I don't know. This is not a playable card right now. It looks cool though. Has a cool name. The rest of the cards are repeats. Getting a gazillion slot machines from the event. I think right now I'm at 5 million, so I'm a little more than halfway. They they do have they gave you the title at 31 million, which is a lot in my opinion. I'm sure some people already have 31 million, but I'm at 5 million. I do need my second and third copies of Buster Gundle, and even though it sucks, you're trying to collect all the cubic cards you want right now. That's all I have to say about the event. Last event this week. This will be a short episode. Hassleberry, Evolved Hassleberry. So he came early in the week in conjunction with the last event. 2 new cards here, and the other repeated cards are kind of random. It's cards from different events. So Gear Golem is from Duel Quest. Indomitable Fighter Lele is from several Battle City events. Grand Maju the Isa gift campaign. Gear Golem, they made a big deal about it, but I realized I had 3 by the time the event began, so I got them all through Duel Quest, and the card really didn't do anything since. There was a bit of a fear of it being in a very annoying deck, but it didn't really do anything to begin with, so I already had 3. And then the Indomitable Fighter is something that's already around. Grand Moduli Isa is the most meta card here because it is a staple in Stromberg decks. Stromberg decks just run 3 of this as a surprise to ban when you banish. When the castle's played, they banish 10 cards, so it makes this 4,000 already. 2 new cards here. Evo Price Continuous Spell once per turn. If a monster special summoned by the effect of an Evil tile, except during the damage step, you can target a card on the field, destroy that target. This is a continuous control card, a bit slow. It's kind of like a poor man's Dark Magic Circle. It can destroy a card once per turn. Dark Magic Circle banishes, and then it also does that search ability. So it's an inferior version of that. But this archetype, all they do is special summon cards from the deck. So you could theoretically hit 1 card per turn, which is decent. The next card is Evil Tile El Genero. Level 2 Fire Reptile 0/0. When this card on the field is tributed and sent to the graveyard, draw a card. Shuffle a dinosaur from the hand to the deck. And then add an Evil Tile from your deck to your hand. So the Evil Tiles generally cheat out Evil Swords from the deck. This one's more of a card advantage. When you tribute it, you get 2 cards from the deck for the cost of 1. You return a dinosaur, you get 2. So this is a card advantage card, a +1. This card works great with Ballista Squad. You use this cost to fuel Ballista Squad, and then you get your +1. So it's a nice ability. Otherwise, this whole archetype just got me, I wasn't even excited about these 2 cards at all, even though they're not bad. They're both decent cards, but Evil Tiles aren't anywhere near being useful. I think dinosaurs are seeing some legs with Alistair. There's different attribute dinosaurs that you can play to fit in with Invoked, get into some Invoked plays, and of course Miscellaneous Source, very good fire monster. These cards are all fire monsters, so it kind of squeezes them out in that game as well. So these cards aren't anywhere right now, but it's just nice to collect them if you have the chance to. The last thing is the Pick a Gift campaign. This one just came out, overnight, it seems. There's some cards here. None of these are new cards, but we're getting our 3rd play sets and 2nd play sets of 2 cards. Urgent Ritual Art is a card we're getting our 3rd copy of. This is a trap card. If you control no ritual monsters, banish a ritual spell from your hand or graveyard. This card becomes the same effect that ritual summons a monster when activated. So Yeah, I'm not really sure what this would help. The main ritual cards, Vendreads. You still see people hit King of Games with Vendreads every so often. Cyber Angels, there's a million cards with Cyber Angels. Having a card like this only helps. I don't see it being played right now, though. And Dimensional Equilibrium is a card we're getting our second copy of. This is another trap card. If a beast is destroyed by battle and the opponent's monster. If the beast is destroyed by battle by an opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, special summon that monster, banish this guy. Okay. So yeah, this is. I can't think of any beasts being played. I think I said this exact same thing last time that this card was released. I think the only beasts seeing play are the Raiko cards in Lightsworn, like Raiko Fighter and Lightsworn Fighter, Twilight Sworn Fighter. I can't think of another beast. That's unfortunate, but this is a pretty good card when beasts will ever see play. All right, that's it. So upcoming news, this is the week that kind of sucks because they're gonna have new news by the middle of next week, and I don't know what it is, but duelist challenges are happening. We're probably getting finishing play sets of cards again, and tour guides mission bingo as well. Of course, Yugi is coming to the game next week, so that's pretty cool. And we're getting close to the grand tournament, so I'm pretty excited about that. All right, and the the game the game has a lot of stuff right now. There's a lot of selection box stuff. There's hero box. Make sure you get what's best for you. I kind of punted on the heroes just because I don't have Neos Fusion. It's a bit of an investment, but you still have the rest of this month to figure out if you're going to invest in the selection box, and make sure it works with your deck. Like I got my second Levianeer. I'm pretty happy about that. I still I didn't make progress on Element Sabers yet, but that's for another day. So thanks for listening to this podcast. Subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search the Duel Assessment. Check out the podcast and more at the website, theduelassessment.wordpress.com. All the back episodes are also on that website or on YouTube as well. I know that on podcast searchers, they only have the last 150. In this podcast, this is number 167. So the first 17 episodes are in the back catalog. Email me with anything at theduelassessment@gmail.com, or you find me on Twitter, duel_assessment, my own account, Green Ranger CCG. All right, thanks everyone. Be well, and I'll see you next time.